if you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
Our guest today at Horse Chats is Camille Saute from Paris, from France, who's got an app that she'd like to talk to us about. But before we do that, I've just got to remind you about the motto of International Horse College, and that's people safety and horse welfare. And if that's the way you feel when you're working with horses, have a look at the website, internationalhorsecollege.com, registered training organisation 31352. And to go along with that, we're talking about people safety and horse welfare. I think that the app that Camille's going to talk to us about is one that people would be interested in. Now, are you there, Camille? How are you today?
Well, I'm super fine. Thanks a lot for having me on your podcast.
Oh, welcome. Yeah, that's absolutely fine, Camille. I think anything we can do to promote welfare, and I do think that the app you're going to tell us about, Equisense, is about horse welfare because it's going to be able to track a lot of things that, especially to an inexperienced rider, more experienced rider might just think, oh, the horse is off, it's not quite right, something's going on. But when you don't have that experience, and I think it's going to certainly even be more accurate than, an experienced rider might think there's something wrong. But I think an app like this is going to really pinpoint any sort of faults. Or I like to start off with a favourite quote. Now, I've got a bit of an idea of what your quote is, but if you can tell us about your favourite quote, sometimes it just gives us as listeners an opportunity to find out a bit more about you. So tell us a bit about your favourite quote.
Well, my favorite quote, actually, it's in French because obviously I'm French. And in French, it says, demandez souvent, se contenter de peu, récompenser beaucoup. Well, in English, if I have to translate it, we can say ask often, demand a lot, but great a lot.
Or be grateful, is that right? Ask often, demand, and then
ask
be
often,
grateful.
Demand a little, and be really grateful.
Yep.
And it's from Boucher, who is the founding writer of the traditional French horse riding in the 19th century. So it's a very famous quote in France, and I think it's my favorite because we can actually apply this quote at any, not only in the horse riding sector or with horses, and I'm keen on pedagogy and education, and I think this quote is very interesting in the education way of thinking. Because even for kids, even for adults, when you are teaching something, and even for cats or dogs or any other living being, I think we should do this quote. What this quote is saying: ask often, demand little, and be really grateful when somebody do what you want to do, so what you want them to do. So yeah, I think that's my favorite quote.
I think sometimes with horses, we're asking and we're demanding and we're training and, they're trying. They're trying to do what we're asking. Even if they're giving us the wrong thing, they're still trying to give us what we're asking. They might be giving us the wrong answer, but they're still trying. And all we've got to do is just that little bit of the soothe word, soften the rein, scratch on the neck, just let them know, yep, that's exactly what I want. And it makes them a bit more confident then to offer more next time. We just got to keep saying, yes, you're going in the right direction. That's wonderful. Keep going. Yeah. So even sometimes it's a little bit not quite the right answer, but on the right track. We've still got to be grateful for that. Yeah. Now, tell us about Equisense. You've obviously got a background with horses. Tell us briefly about that, but what brought you then from your background in horses into Equisense?
Well, at first, I didn't want to work in the equine industry. I didn't want to be a professional rider, even though my mom was, and even though I been with horses since I was a little kid, but I've always told myself that I will never be a professional rider because it's not a life. It's too hard, too much of a dedication. So I didn't think it was something for me.
Was that because you thought you weren't dedicated enough? Because, I mean, some people say it's just the best life in the world. You know, you get to go out and do horse things and do things that people have as a hobby. So was it just a personal thing that you thought your mum worked too hard and you didn't want to work that hard? Or, you know, why did you have that, that you didn't want to work in the horse industry?
I think that seeing the professional riders around me, they work so hard. They don't have any vacation holidays. They are 24/7 at their job, and I think it's too important for me to be able to sometimes stop my job and have a private life. And all the professional riders that I've seen don't have a private life. So maybe I've seen the wrong.
Yes, I was going to say, because I could tell you lots of riders and lots of people that work within the horse industry that don't work for that minimal wage that, you know, people keep talking about and don't work for those really bad conditions. So I think the horse industry has certainly improved over the last few decades, that it really is a really positive career. And yeah, and a career where you can have a little bit of time off, you can have a private life, you can earn a decent income. You know, it may not start at the base level, but I would have to say that, I know quite a lot of people who've had a career with horses, really enjoyed it, absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it, and got the best out of it. But anyway, tell us from there then about starting the app. Because it's interesting that even though you say, I don't want to work in the horse industry, you're still interested in a horse app, you know, so you've ended up working in the horse industry anyway.
Yeah. And so after my high school, I've done medical studies, and I didn't succeed in the exam. So I've done engineering school, and I became a biomechanical engineer. Because I was very interested in the way that living being can walk, can move. It's really something that I was very curious about. So that's why I've done this branch of engineering. And I wanted to work in the sport industry. It was very clear that I wanted to work with the sports. And during my last internship, I had the chance to work in Saumur, which is a very famous town in France, because we have the French National Horse Riding School. And this is where the most brilliant horse riders are have their horse riding education. So I had the chance to work as an engineer in Saumur. And I worked during 6 months on the lightness of the rider. With an engineering point of view, and that was very, very interesting to measure the riders, to measure the horses, and to see how they can communicate in the scientific point of view. So I was so interested about that I said that I want to work as an engineer in the horse riding industry. So that's how it all started. And during the same time, actually, another engineering student from my school called me because he had an idea to develop a connected device for horse riders. And he told me if I wanted to work on that project with him. And that's how Equisense started. It was during my 6 months in Saumur. So yeah, that's how I ended in the equine sector.
Well, is your mother happy that you've worked in the horse industry?
Yeah, definitely, because I can mix up my passion, because I write a lot, and my other passion for engineering and the science, and also the education, because I work a lot on that at Equisense also.
Oh, that's brilliant. So you've sort of been able to combine your passions and there's so many different areas of the horse industry. So it's not all about being a professional rider or an instructor. There's so many other different areas as well. What do you think then, just thinking about the passion and the everything that you've enjoyed bringing together for Equisense, what do you think you've enjoyed the most?
Well, I think that it's precisely what you just said is the way that I can combine my two passions and work in the equine industry without being a professional rider, because I think I can, well, we can at Equisense, we can help changing and make the horse riding evolve. And I think that's something very amazing to think that with your own knowledge and with a lot of dedication, you can make an entire sport, an entire industry grow and make the horses all over the world more comfortable when they are trained, and help riders all over the world train better and progress faster. So I think that's something I really enjoy when I work at Equisense.
What about the person that you've partnered with, who said that they were interested and they'd develop an app? Are they a horse person or not? They're more the technology, bringing it and combining with you, are they?
Actually, we have both because we work a lot with riders. And I think we have 50-50 riders and non-riders, because when you develop some connected device like we're doing, we need some technical engineer, and they don't need to be riders. But on the other hand, we really need to have riders because they are the best person to exchange with, because we are doing everything for them. So if we don't deal with riders, if we don't talk a lot with riders, we cannot do something that they really need. So I think it's both pretty important to have non-riders because they have a more fresh point of view, a more virgin point of view on what we are doing, and sometimes it's very interesting to talk with. And the riders, obviously, we definitely need them to tell us what they need.
Sounds like they're experienced riders, though, that can come in and actually feel what's happening. Because I think, and you're a rider yourself, that when you first start riding, you can be riding around on a horse, but you're just oblivious to the fact it takes a little while to realise that, your horse is going around an incorrect flexion or they're on the wrong lead, or, it takes a little while for a beginner to, quite a few hours, for a beginner to say, oh, yes, now I'm on the correct diagonal. Now I understand what a correct lead is. And that's a long time before the horse is going around in correct flexion and round and forward and, tracking up and equal. So it's obviously got to be experienced riders that you're working with, not just someone who's jumped on a horse and going through the paces.
Yeah, the professional riders have a lot of things to taught us, because with their experience, they can tell us what is very, very important as a rider. And also the more beginner rider, we talk a lot with them also, because we can see uh, what are their problems, and it's exactly on their problems that we have to do something about what is difficult for them. So it's very interesting to talk to different kind of riders, professional and beginners also.
Now, bringing this amount of technology into the horse world, we're very proud as a member of the horse community, someone who's been doing it for a long time, doing it all their life, doing well within the industry, and then all of a sudden you bring in this technology. Did people say, oh, no, that's no good, that technology is never going to work? Did you get any feedback like that? No, I'm sure that, the professional riders could see what you were doing, but did you get feedback and flack from people saying that you can't mix the technology and horses because horses don't work like that?
Yeah. We did have these kind of feedbacks at the very beginning, but very soon we didn't have those kind of feedbacks. I think during the first year, we had some trainers or some professional riders that told us, no, I don't believe your thing is going to work in my country or in my area, because we've done without for so many years that we don't need something like this right now. But well, it was really at the beginning that we had these kind of feedbacks, and just a few months or a few years after, they changed their mind, or they understood that the technology is not a replacement to their experience. It's something, it's a little plus.
Like a compliment.
Yeah. So, no, it's not like that we have anymore, or very, it's, yeah, it's not that common. And I think that it's because they see that in all the other sports, the technology is being used actually, even by the professional sportsmen. So, for example, in athleticism, or in tennis, or in cyclism, or even in karate, or all these kind of sports, even technical sports, and not sports like cyclism, which is almost only based on the time you take to do your course. So I think that the fact that technology is being used in all the other sports help riders to understand that it can be useful also for them. And the last thing is that during, I think, the last 5 years, so since 2015, we've seen a lot of connected devices in the horse riding industry. So I think it helped also the riders to understand that now is the time that the technology will be used also for the riders, and I think it's part of the changes in the way of thinking about the technology. I'm not sure it's quite clear what I've told you, but I hope you understood.
Yes, yes, I think so. Oh, I think when I was riding and competing, I mean, just there's a mechanical horse, around near us, and you think, well, I don't want to ride on a mechanical horse, but the senses that the horse is so sensitive, if your weight's a little bit one side, if your weight's just a little bit the other side, if you're not quite moving in the rhythm of the horse, it's not instead of riding, it's certainly not instead of training, but just a great compliment. So apps like this, they're just a great compliment to say, this is just helping for me to track, even if it's just how much walk, how much trot, how much canter I've done, how much I did on the right side, how much I did on the left side, tracking like that. And I know you go into a lot more depth than that. That's a very simplified version. But I just think it's a great compliment. It really, really is. Just thinking about, because you would have got feedback from other people saying this has improved in this way. What's the common type of feedback? What's the most common type of people, contacting you saying, my horse has made a big improvement through your app and this is how, or this is why, or well, my riding, or my instructor said that, this has really improved since I've been using your app. What do you think is the most common feedback you get about the improvement of the horse or improvement of the rider?
I think two feedbacks that we have the most often is first one about the lamenesses, because it's really interesting to see that a lot of riders have their horses who are not really lame but asymmetrical, and they don't feel it because they are used to those feelings and to those sensations when they are riding, and they think it's quite normal that the horse is a bit stiff or something like that. And when they see the grade, the symmetry grade on the app, they see that they have a 5 on 10 grade or lower, and they see the red spots on the app telling them that their horse is not okay. They say, oh, okay, maybe I have to deal with it, and maybe I have to do something, and to call the vet or to call the physiotherapist or something like that. And they do something, they change their saddle, they change their mat, or anything else that can improve the horse's well-being. And a few days, a few weeks, a few months after, they see the progress of the horse, and they see that the horse is going into more normal grade. And this is something that they are really proud about. And they say, thank you, Equisense, because I didn't realize that my horse was so uncomfortable during his training. And now I've done something that changed his way to move and changed really his slow motion. So that's the first feedback that we have, and the second one is about the elevation of the horse. We have a lot of people that during their first use of the Equisense motion, they see that the horse's elevation is really low, and they see that when they do some precise exercises that we provide them, because the app is providing some exercises based on the data that you have, they see that when they do these precise exercises, the elevation is going up and up and up. And at the end, like months after, they see that they gain like 5 centimeters of elevation at trot and even more at canter. And they are so proud of that. And to see that the horse has improved their locomotion, and they feel it. They feel that the horse is going really lighter and have more action in the locomotion, and they are very proud of that. And so we are very proud to help them understand that and find the correct exercise and the correct way of training.
Good, good. Now, I know that you recommend, you've got lots of, depending on what the feedback is within the app, there's you've got more than 300 exercises. I'd like to get into that a little more depth, but of course today we're not going to. So I'd love to have you back and talk about these exercises in a bit more detail, if that's okay.
Yeah.
But as a bit of a taster, what do you think is a popular one that is going to be held? Just something that might be your favourite, that you say, I think this is really going to work, one that might be particularly popular with you users, subscribers. Just tell us one of the exercises, and we can talk about the other. There's more than 300, so we can talk about another 300 another time, but just one of the exercises, if you could tell us that.
Well, actually, this week I've looked at the data of the exercises and what was the most seen exercises in the app. And the one that did the most seen during last year was the clover. It's actually very, very simple. It's 4 poles, 4 ground poles, and it's 4 ground poles like in the shape of a square.
Okay, yes.
And you draw a 4-leaf clover by writing on. And this one is the most seen exercise in the app. So I was quite surprised because it's a very simple exercise, but yet it's an exercise you can do every day. And it's so interesting because you have to go in a circle and then going on the really right in front of you. Sorry, I don't have the technical word in English. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. No, I'm understanding. That's good.
And it's interesting because you can also work on doing really tight circles and then going really right in front of you, and the horse don't have to go right and left all the time. And you have to work on the rhythm, on the regularity. So it's very interesting because it's really basic, but it's something you can work every day with your horse and with all the horses. Well, if you're doing jumping or dressage or eventing, it's a really good exercise. But I think my favorite is an exercise where you have ground poles at the trot on one side of the arena and ground poles at canter on the other side. And you just go on a big oval or circle and do a ground pole at the trot, transition to the canter, and ground pole at the canter, and transition to the trot, and then you go on and on and on like this. And what I do is that the ground poles at the canter, I do in on. I think the term in English is that in and out. Well, when the poles are a bit higher, so the horse is jumping over
So the horse
ground
bounces.
poles. Over the
Yes.
poles. Yeah, and on the ground poles at the trot, I make them also a little higher. So it's a very, very good exercise to work on the elevation and on the bounce of the horse. And with the transition and the ground poles and the bounces, the horse is going better. It's gaining in muscles. Yeah, it trains its muscles and also his bounces. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I might have said the wrong word there. I was thinking, what's the word for when you've got a jump and another jump and another jump straight after each stride? You might be looking for the word cadence, the time in the air. So I've probably given you the wrong word there, but I think I can certainly understand what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, and I love to do this exercise with my horse, and I really feel the difference before and after doing this exercise. So yeah, I think that's my favorite.
Good, good. Look, I'd love to have you back, talk about some more exercises and talk about, the different exercises to improve the different things, which are all on the app anyway. So if people would like to contact you, where's the best place? Is it equisense.com or just go to the App Store and download Equisense? What's the best way?
Yeah, definitely. They can definitely download the app. It's completely free, so don't hesitate to go on the App Store or on the Google Play. They can have the app and the 300 exercises, so they can see, and they can tell us what are the most they preferred exercise in the app. And the other things, the other way to contact us is on our website, equisense.com, or on our Facebook page, Equisense app, or on our Instagram page also. So yeah, they can contact us thanks to all these ways.
Yeah. And I think one thing we didn't mention too was the GPS tracking and just the management, the fact that you can just, if the farriers there, you just pull out your phone and just say, oh yeah, farrier from today, and, just keep a bit of a log about the management of your horse, or even just how they go on the ride.
Yeah. What is very interesting is that in the app you can add the healthcare that you've provided to your horse, and also add the activities that you've done, even if the horse has gone in the field, or if you've launched him without using the connected device. You can add everything in the app, so you have a complete calendar, a complete agenda of what your horse has done and what healthcare he has had. So yeah, you can put that the horse have seen the farrier or the vet or the physiotherapist, and you can add everything that the physiotherapist have done on your horse. Everything can be put in the app, so you have a complete view of what have been the activities of your horses in the last months or years, and you can also see if this healthcare had an impact on the locomotion of your horse. And it's very interesting to see that when the horse have seen the physiotherapist, for example, like 10 days after the grades are all been raised up, and the horse has gained elevation, has gained in symmetry, the heart rate has lowered during the training. So it's very interesting to see the impact of the healthcare that we provide to the horses.
Perfect. All right. Well, look, I think we'll say goodbye now, but I look forward to catching up with you again, because I know that you've got, different exercises to achieve different things. And I think we can talk about those in a lot more detail next time. So I'd like to say thank you for chatting to me today, and hopefully we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And I promise that the next time I will have the technical words to talk about the exercises.
I don't think it's a problem. I think we certainly have got a great idea, about not just about the app, but, the person behind it as well. And, the reasons why you started it and what your background is. I think that's all very interesting as well. So thank you. And the fact that, yes, you didn't want to work in the horse industry and now you are working in the horse industry. I think it's a wonderful story. All right, great to talk to you, and I will talk to you very soon.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
If you've enjoyed this chat, then please comment, rate and subscribe. If you'd like any changes or recommendations for guests, then please contact us through horsechats.com. And while you're online, have a look at the government-accredited courses at internationalhorsecollege.com. Registered Training Organisation 31352.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.